Y'all, every once in a while, you have to really sit back and analyze what you're watching. And you have to come to the conclusion that Triple H is the worst booker of all time. The stuff that we saw this SummerSlam, this 2-day SummerSlam, the biggest SummerSlam of all time. You got 2 nights. Stephanie McMahon's out there lying about ticket sales. There was not 60,000 people in that arena. I have the stats. It's not 60,000 people, but whatever. Okay, they combined both nights, and you got garbage. And you can handpick any SummerSlam from the 2000s, and it was better than this SummerSlam. You can pick multiple SummerSlams from this decade alone, 2021, 22, 23, 24, all way better than this SummerSlam. And this is a 2-night biggest SummerSlam ever, and you got absolute garbage. Dr. Libations is WWE Champion once again, so you know you're in for another respecty you, a lovey you, a needy you title reign that nobody's going to care about. Cody Rhodes is not losing matches. Triple H has had a very eventful week. He was sitting out doing Unreal, which he made all about himself. He's doing podcasts. He's on ESPN. He then proceeds to go to the White House. He's signing bills and blowing water bottles and doing hype reels instead of booking good shows. And then you follow that up, and he's in cohorts with Broccoli Lesnar, to bring him back to go to SummerSlam Night 2 and randomly F5 John Cena after a match for no reason at all. It's all shock factor. If you are one of Triple H's favorites, like a Seth Rollins or a Rhea Ripley or a Cody Rhodes, you're either going to be world champion constantly or you're going to be fighting for the world championship constantly. You will always have a main event spot, and the booking for you is going to be so blatantly forced that it's going to be infuriating. This guy, Triple Fraud, I'm telling you, man, Brock Lesnar coming back in 2025 to F5 John Cena after Cena just had his farewell match at SummerSlam, one of his final matches of his life, and John Cena is getting F5 afterwards by Brock Lesnar in his 50s in 2025. You couldn't let Cena just have a moment or have fun or, say goodbye to the crowd. No, he had to get F5 and put in the dirt and laying down on his back while Brock Lesnar is coming back in 2025. And Brock Lesnar is one of my favorite wrestlers and performers of all time in WWE. But the fact is, I don't want to see this dude in 2025. He could have been returned by now at this point. Obviously, we know the stuff that happened with him being involved in the lawsuit, so he couldn't come back. But at the end of the day, if you really wanted to bring him back, you could have just brought him back for the Survivor Series 2024 match. Just have, instead of Punk, you could have had Lesnar be the 5th member and work with Heyman and Roman and, the other people involved, like the Usos and Sami Zayn. But no, you didn't bring him back. So at that point, I'm like, okay, well, Lesnar's never coming back. And then he comes back at SummerSlam to F5 John Cena? We're going to get a one last time match with Cena and Lesnar. You know the match isn't going to be good. It doesn't matter who wins because both of them are going to retire probably at the end of this year at the same time. All Triple H can do is shock factor, and it's infuriating. There's no actual effort or their dedication or creativity put into any shows. You just watched a 2-night SummerSlam, and only 2 matches at SummerSlam actually were great matches, at least in my opinion. The TLC tag match was awesome. The Cody vs. Cena match was great. But the ending, having Cody win when he was getting booed out of the building, which shows you that the fans want to see Cena hold the belt for 4 last months and have fun and go out on top as a face. But no, we can't do that. We need Brock Lesnar so we can have shock factor because these shows are so dead and so lifeless that you have to have constant cameos from 50-plus-year-olds to save your show. And even with Lesnar showing up, the show still was garbage overall anyways. And you look at this match card for night 2 and for night 1, these are Saturday night main event / Raw or SmackDown matches. Why would I need to actually watch a Becky Lynch vs. Lyra Valkyria Part 8 match with Bayley showing up? Oh my gosh, man! Can Lyra Valkyria win this match so she can fight for the IC title again? Nobody cares. Oh my gosh, is that Bayley? Bayley thinks she's gonna fight for the title. Nobody cares. You then move on from that. Why would I give a crap about Naomi rolling up Rhea Ripley to pin her in a meaningless triple threat that we already knew she was gonna retain in? The match was boring and nobody cared about it. Why would I care about Dominik versus AJ, a Raw match, a Raw mid-card / main event Raw match level match that we're getting on a SummerSlam? Solo versus Jacob Fatu in a steel cage. This match was so mid/bad. This could have been a SmackDown main event and nobody would have cared. That's how simple this match was. It was not good at all. This is one of the worst PLEs of all time. It's comparably bad to WrestleMania 41 in my opinion, and we are going to break it down, and I'm going to give you the reasons for this. But this show, Triple Fraud, has to be fired. The favoritism, the garbage booking, the artificial booking, the booking for only shock factor moments. The Rock is officially done now, by the way. I want you guys to understand that. The Rock's done. The fact that he didn't show up tonight after doing this whole sell your soul gimmick with Cody and Cena, The Rock's done. It's over. He ain't coming back for nothing at this point. We may not see him probably for another year or two, besides his Hall of Fame speech maybe. Like, what's the point of any of this? The Rock's done basically at this point, okay? The fact that he didn't show up tonight, that's basically it for him. But he showed up at Elimination Chamber and Cena turned heel. And what was the point of the Cena heel turn? He's now back to being a face after a promo on a random SmackDown after being against the fans for 5 or 6 months or whatever. And now he's randomly turning face again and then getting F5 by Brock Lesnar. So you basically have John Cena. His heel turn was a waste of time. His championship reign was a waste of time. When it wasn't booked correctly at all by Triple H. And then you also have, what's his name? Cody Rhodes is champion again. So why did he even lose it in the first place at this point if he's just going to win it back a few months later? The Rock didn't show up. Brock Lesnar showing up. It's all shock factor. Rollins comes back and cashes in last night to win back the world title he already had a year ago. Listen, we're just going to get into the show. There's too many issues. We're going to talk about them. Now, we started off with Rhea versus Io versus Naomi for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. The first 10 minutes of this match are borderlining on being unwatchable. I don't know what it is, but at least when I was watching, it looked like Io, Naomi, and Rhea were all like just out of stamina, or they just look very tired or out of cohorts or out of sync inside of this match, basically, with each other. They just didn't have it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they look very odd. It was very botchy and choppy and very choreographed. Very choppy match, man. Very upsetting knowing that there was Rhea in this match, Io was here, and so was Naomi, 3 of the best women you have in the company, and the match was this bad. Like, you look at the triple threat with Bianca, Rhea, and Io, and look at the action, the fast-paced moves, the greatness of that match, and then you look at this, and it's like night and day. It looks like Rhea and Io and Naomi were out there wrestling with COVID or the flu or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, what the heck was that? Like, this match was literally wrestled in quicksand. It was the most unentertaining match I've ever seen. All of the spots were basically just someone hits a finisher in the last 5 minutes, and they roll up and get interrupted. And they hit another finisher, roll up, interrupted, vice versa, so on and so forth. And eventually Naomi gets a roll up on Rhea Ripley and pins her, and that's basically the end of the match. This was very boring. I can't even tell you like what actually happened that was entertaining or really like, mind-boggling about this match. We've seen the collection of Io and Rhea like 17 billion times this year alone, so I don't care about that. Naomi didn't do anything of note in this match. It's cool she came up with her dad for the entrance. I thought that was pretty cool. But again, when you take 10 to 15 minutes of a 20-minute match to finally get into the action, you basically waste most of the time. It's just so stupid, man. Very lazy ending too, with it ending in a roll-up. They can never end matches with finishers anymore, bro. Everything is a roll-up, or some type of tacky win using cheats. Everyone's booked 50-50, so no one can really get over. But you notice the only people who get clean pins are people like Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and Rhea Ripley. Of course they are, right? The favorites. That's all it is. But overall, this was a very disappointing match. This was pretty bad. I don't really know what else good to say about it. There were multiple botches that were just very stupid, and I wasn't entertained by any of this. The crowd was dead the whole show, basically, besides the Cena match, because nobody gives a crap. Why would anybody care who wins this match? Let's be honest with ourselves. What, if Naomi retains, that's great. If Io wins, nobody cares. If Rhea wins, nobody cares. It's just stupid, man. This was pointless. It was a thrown together triple threat match to put on the card, and it was nowhere near as good as a triple threat at Mania, so this is a bad match. And then we got to the tag match. This tag match was absolutely awesome, okay? This was a great tag team TLC match, a 6 tag team match for the tag team championships of the tag team. I'm gonna keep saying it. This match was awesome. You had the table spots, were the 4 table spots in a row. I thought that was great. You had Dawkins get the Spanish fly through the tables on the outside. That was absolutely absurd. Ray Phoenix hit that crazy splash as well. Montez Ford got, senton through a table. And then I think the fourth one? It may have been like Motor City Machine Guns putting someone through a table as well. But it was just a bunch of great moments, amazing action, okay? Obviously, Candice LeRae, we gotta show respect. We're gonna give a round of applause for Candice LeRae. That bump that she took, bro, falling through that ladder from that high up is absolutely insane. Hopefully she's okay and not injured. I think she did make it out okay, so that's great. But what an amazing spot, man. Wow, that was very entertaining. It's crazy she took that bump for this match, but that just shows her dedication to the game. So gotta give Candice LeRae her respects for that. That was awesome, okay? Yeah, the double table spot too with DIY, both of them flying through the double tables. Like, it was just constant action, really solid in-ring work too, when they weren't even using any other weapons too, so that was nice. The speed of it I thought was great. Very action heavy, fast-paced, just like a tag team match with tables and ladders and chairs should be. And then the ending happened, and the Wyatt Jobbers ended up retaining the championships, and the crowd was literally booing and gasping out of disappointment. You know what I'm saying? Or sighing out of disappointment, I should say. At the end of this match, you could audibly hear them booing and saying, no, 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 seeing fans like this motion with their hands, no, no, don't let them win, because no one wants to see the Wyatt Six as champions. They're jobbers, they're not entertaining, nobody cares about anyone in this faction. That's just the truth, and you know that, and I know that, so what's the point of even talking about them? Hopefully they lose the belt soon, and by soon, I mean maybe next week on SmackDown would be good. I don't even care who they lose it to, just get it off of them. But overall, like I said, this match was absolutely amazing. Probably a top 2 or top 3 match of the year by far. The only problem is that the winners I thought were wrong, and of course, we've already seen an elite tag team TLC match earlier this year, so, it's not like we haven't seen this before, but this is a great match with very creative spots and good moments. So overall, this is arguably, if we're just going off in-ring quality, this is probably the best match of the show, if not second behind the Cody and Cena match, I guess. And then we move on to what I consider one of the dumbest and most boring matches of all time. I literally, during this Lyra, Valkyria, and Becky Lynch match, I kid you not, I had to do exercise, I had to walk around my house, I had to actually move up and down, you know what I'm saying? I had to genuinely move around and keep on. I had to open up my, my patio, literally, take some fresh air in. I had to do anything to stay awake during this match. It was that boring. This match, I think was listed as, 30 minutes long. This match was a 30-minute Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch match. Now, we've seen these two wrestle multiple matches already, so at this point, you have to give us something nuanced, something creative, something exciting to make this match feel impactful and better than the other ones. And did it feel that? No, absolutely not. This was boring and dumb. There were multiple stupid botches, like Lyra losing the zip ties and then putting it back on herself. That was just stupid and cheesy and fake. And the pacing of this match is just, you're going to see a lot of people complain about the pacing of this match, and they are rightfully doing that. So, I mean, the pacing here was absolutely garbage. It was boring. It was slow paced, very choppy. You couldn't get into the match because it just had so many pauses, so many botches, so many stoppages, so many just dumb things that just weren't entertaining. This is not a Summerslam level match, man. Give me a good match that actually has entertainment and a story, but this match had such a bad and repetitive build that nobody gave a crap about what was happening. The crowd was dead the whole match because nobody cared. You have to ask yourself, if this was a Raw main event match, or this was a Raw, mid-card match or something like that, would you watch this show, or would you skip it and go to another segment, like a promo or something like that from a bigger star, and you would skip this match? It's as simple as that. No one is going back and rewatching 30 minutes of this garbage. Becky Lynch's new theme is essentially garbage, in my opinion. I was extremely bored during this match. Bayley came out, and like I said, it's the same thing as per usual. Bayley has tension with Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch, dude. What will happen next on Raw? And then Bayley leans in and hits what's her name? Lyra Valkyria with a chain or something like that. And after she was beefing with Becky on the outside, she then hits Lyra with a chain. Becky then hits the manhandle slam, and then Becky just sits there Bayley just sits there on the rope, acting like she can't just interfere with the pin if she really wanted to. And then after it's a count to 3, then she gets in the ring and tries to act all shocked and stuff. It was one of the stupidest booked and poorly executed matches ever. Literally ever that I've seen. It was absolute garbage. The crowd was literally doing the wave while this match was happening. Apparently people who were there saying the crowd was doing the wave while the match was on because they did not give a crap about what was happening here, and neither did I. This was absolute garbage, and so let's just move on to a match that was equally as bad, if not worse at this point. Solo Sikoa versus Fatu is a genuine garbage match. This is the most boring and uneventful feud ever. You know what I'm saying? The stuff they did on SmackDown is more entertaining than this. If this was a main event on SmackDown, Fatu versus Solo for the U.S. title in a steel cage match, are you watching that match, or are you turning off the TV? Let's say it opened up with a Cody promo, right? No, sorry, not a Cody promo, a Cena promo, okay? And that got done in the first 20 minutes of the show, and you had to watch another hour and 30 minutes to get to a Solo Sikoa versus Fatu a steel cage match for the U.S. title. You're not watching that. The ending and the way the match was choreographed was lazy and dumb. We knew that Solo Sikoa was likely going to win this match, and we also knew that his MFT was going to come out. Jimmy Uso would then come out, they'd get outnumbered, and then Solo would just win the match. He wasn't going to pin him, obviously, so he was just going to escape. And the way he escaped, all they did was slam the cage door in Jacob's face, and then Solo crawled out, and that was it. And then afterwards, Fatu, after the match, is hitting a moonsault. What is the point of this? What does Jimmy Uso even do anymore? There's so many issues with this that make it so uninteresting and so unentertaining, and you factor this in that this is a SummerSlam Night 2 match. What is this? This isn't even worthy of being on a SmackDown main event, bro. Like, this is just the type of stuff, and people will settle for this and be like, oh, well, this was a decent match. No, it wasn't. Stop. You're lying to yourself. This was straight garbage, and you know it. And then we move on to Dominik Mysterio versus AJ Styles. I have really nothing to say about this match. This match was essentially meaningless, and nobody cared about it. At least I didn't care about it. Dominik Mysterio's Intercontinental Championship reign has had maybe 2 or 3 defenses in the last, 4 months since he's won it, and no one cares about any of them. Let's be honest with ourselves. He pulls his boot down so that AJ Styles gets distracted, and then he uses the boot while the ref is looking away, and then he pins AJ or whatever, or does something. I don't even remember how he won. I think he pinned him, and that was it. Nobody cares. I don't give a crap about Dominik Mysterio retaining at this point. Why is AJ Styles coming out there in the Eddie Guerrero gear, which was cool to see? He comes out there just to lose and get jobbed out. And remember, on Raw previously, literally this previous week, AJ Styles pinned Dominik Mysterio off one phenomenal forearm. So you're mean to tell me that in a fully elongated 10 to 15 minute match, AJ Styles couldn't get the upper hand on Dominik Mysterio, who barely wrestles anymore? It's like, I don't even, let's just move on, man. This match was straight garbage. This is not worthy of being the penultimate match on a SummerSlam 2-night card. This is the second to last match on the entire show. Stop. But again, this is just what it is. The WWE Triple H, he gives you triple fraud, gives you a bunch of Raw and SmackDown matches on a PLE and calls it SummerSlam. It's the biggest night ever. No, it's not. Stop lying to yourself. We then get to the main event. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena Part 2 for the WWE Championship. This match, before we get into the actual quality, seeing Cena come out with the classic face entrance with the WWE Championship was absolutely awesome, okay? This was a great moment. I really enjoyed this. You know, Cody was getting booed out of the building, obviously, because it's Cena's last match, and no one wants to see Cody win the title back just in general. Cody will probably get booed in the coming weeks because nobody cares. Like, I understand that, there's not a point of turning him heel, but, we have to do something to make him an interesting face. He comes out and says the same thing each week and wrestles mediocre. He barely wrestles at all. I mean, his first title reign was nearly 400 days, and he had, 9 or 10 defenses, so he's not really doing anything in the ring. His promos are forgettable. You can't name me 3 great promos he had while he was champion. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he had 1 or 2, I guess during the Cena feud, before Mania 41. But outside of that, what great promos or moments or stories did he have leading up to the end of his reign? I just can't tell you, so that was that. But anyways, then we move on from that. John Cena has an awesome entrance, great visuals, got the whole colors on the Titantron again. That was sick. John Cena basically got into the match and it started. This match with Cody Rhodes was absolutely great in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining and I thought it was light years better than their match at Mania 41. Obviously, I think we all think that. This was a great match. This match actually had intrigue and drama. I did not know who was going to win this match, to be honest with you. There are moments where I thought Cody was going to win. I knew he was going to win in the last couple of minutes. I was like, yeah, Cody's getting this dub. But then John Cena, there was moments where I was like, you know what? Maybe he actually wins. But overall, it had that drama. It had that intrigue. This is a good main event match. There was a lot more action in this, more energy, more entertainment. John Cena was hitting Canadian drivers. There was Super Cena chants because, John Cena was kicking out of crossroads, signatures, disaster kicks, Cody cutters. They had a Cody cutter through the table that he kicked out of. It became a big finisher fest as the match went on, but it was just more of a thing like back when Super Cena would kick out of a bunch of moves. It was like a resiliency thing in 2K, one of those dynamic things. So that was it. You had the great spot where Cena's rising up from the stage elevator, with Cody on his shoulders. Really good shot. Some actual creativity was shown there. You get what I mean? And you even had them taking down Cody Rhodes took off the bottom layer of the rope, like the bottom rope. He took it off completely and started hitting Cena with it. There was actual story with Cody being genuinely sad, to dethrone John Cena and have that moment, to see his hero, I guess, get beat or beat his hero or whatever. So, and there's also the story as well, like Cena said, he would give it his best, and he gave it his best and actually tried, and he actually had an amazing moment. Or moments, I should say, actually. He had multiple amazing moments inside of this match, okay? And then obviously, as the match got on, it just became a bunch of brawling into the arena, which was sick. You had tables getting involved. Cena hit a super AA on Cody through the table, which was pretty cool. He had a super AA on Cody in the actual ring a couple times as well, which was absolutely sick. You know what I'm saying? You had the triple crossroads. Cena kicked out of the triple crossroads, which is crazy, obviously. So it was just a bunch of great false finishes. You really didn't know when it was going to end. It kind of had vibes of a 2000s, like a 2010s, early 2010s type match, where you didn't really know when they were going to win because there's two top faces going at it, and you didn't know when it was going to end up. So I thought that was great. Obviously, though, at the end of the match, Cody Rhodes hits the salute. You know what I'm saying? It's a salute to John Cena. And, of course, after that, Cody hits the crossroads. And that is over. Cody Rhodes is now the new WWE champion, okay? After this takes place, Cody and Cena are basically, shaking hands and hugging each other. Cody Rhodes is emotional. He's crying afterwards. I'm assuming Cena said, this is your time. This is you now. I'm like, dude, how many times is Cody going to get? When is a new talent going to get a chance to do anything? You get what I mean? So it's just what it is, man. It was just stupid stuff like that. But Cody Rhodes is now champion again. We don't have more boring moments to keep on going. You guys know how I feel about Cody Rhodes' championship reigns. This dude just isn't good enough. He's always going to be a mid-carder pretending to be a main eventer because this current roster of WWE superstars is not as good as the past. So back then you had actual main eventers, and even now you have one or two main eventers, those being Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns and Roman Reigns. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. But outside of Roman Reigns, nobody here is a legitimate main event level guy. CM Punk is but he's still kind of washed in the ring because he's older now. And that's basically it. Seth Rollins is not a main eventer. You know what I'm saying? Cody Rhodes is not a true main eventer. If you put them on a roster like in the 2000s, are they main eventing or are they doing undercard jobber matches with Goldust? You get what I'm saying? Cody Rhodes was Stardust. You get me? So it's what are we talking about here? So it is what it is. I didn't like the winner of this match. Obviously, Cody was getting booed. The fans wanted Cena to have the championship still for his last 4 months, and I thought that was just the best logical decision. But obviously, with Triple H's booking, Cena loses, Cody rocks away, and you're expecting The Rock or something to happen, and then John Cena stands in the ring, the music shuts off, and he's basically, thanking the crowd and smiling at everybody and everything like that, and then Brock Lesnar's music hits, he comes out and F5 John Cena. That's really it. Again, Brock Lesnar is one of my favorite performers of all time, but I would be absolutely lying to you if I told you that I actually care about seeing this dude in 2025. The time is over for this dude. You know what I'm saying? His time is up. If John Cena is retiring in his 40s, you get me? Why would I give a crap about Brock Lesnar showing up in his 50s? You know what I'm saying? For probably what's going to be a one-off feud with John Cena, because this is a shock factor move. I am tired of the constant shock factor every single time. Every single time that we have shock, any type of PLE, any type of big moment, it's all shock factor. You can look back and track the lineage of this. CM Punk comes back. Then at the Royal Rumble, Cody wins back to back. Then Roman Reigns, you have 80 cameos in the Mania 40 match, which I love that match. Don't get me wrong. It was an amazing night. I was there for it. It was absolutely incredible. One of the best nights in wrestling history, of course. However, it's still a lot of shock factor involved with that. SummerSlam last year, Roman Reigns comes back. Survivor Series, you have CM Punk joining up on the team. So that's that. Then all of a sudden they're shaking hands, Punk and Roman are, and then all of a sudden they're fighting each other at Mania. At what's it called? At Royal Rumble, Jey Uso wins. It's a shock factor move that goes nowhere. Then John Cena turns heel. Shock factor move that goes nowhere. The heel turn is undone in about 3 months, not even 4 months, 4 or 5 months at this point, and it goes nowhere. The championship reign went nowhere. Now Brock Lesnar's going to show up. He F5 John Cena, and what's going to happen next? Seriously, they're going to have a one-off match or maybe 2 matches, and that's it. Cena will win one, Lesnar will win one, or maybe they'll do a tiebreaker. I don't want to see Lesnar feuding with John Cena in his last run. This isn't how this is working. John Cena is arguably, in my opinion, he is the greatest of all time. I don't want to see his last 4 months be part of it spent on Lesnar who's in his 50s. That's not acceptable. That's bad booking, and that is wasting John Cena's time. We've already seen them fight multiple times. I don't want to see this anymore. I don't. You know what I'm saying? Unless they're going to top their feud from 2012, I don't give a crap about this. And they're not going to top the feud from 2012. So I thought this was stupid. I didn't even want to see Brock Lesnar. And it's crazy to say that, but it's just the facts. And you already know the fans are not going to be, not every fan is going to be on board with the decision to even bring this dude back at this current moment in time. But that's a discussion for another day, but that's just the truth of it. A lot of people are going to be divided on this. I'm divided on it, and I don't like it because I don't want to see Lesnar in his 50s fighting John Cena, who has 4 months left of his career. I think that's stupid booking. It's nonsensical, and it's not going anywhere. So, I don't know. I found it absolutely dumb. I think SummerSlam as a whole this year was an absolute and utter disaster. We will break this down as we continue to go throughout the week, but it's safe to say that SummerSlam essentially killed WWE. You're in a situation now where Cody Rhodes is champion and nobody's beating him in the near future. Seth Rollins is not losing in the near future unless he's actually hurt. LA Knight is not getting featured to do anything. Drew McIntyre is doing nothing of meaning. Dominik Mysterio's Intercontinental Championship reign sucks. Becky Lynch's reign sucks. Nobody cares about it. You saw it tonight. The tag team divisions are both basically essentially lifeless and meaningless in both men and women's divisions because they're barely featured on shows, and when they are, the only time they're going to be good is if it's a really elite match or if it has some type of stipulation like TLC on it. So I don't know what else there is to say about this. WWE is dead, the viewership is declining, and now they're just book off of shock factor and making people go like, oh, what was that? Oh, who's that? That's all they do now. That's all Triple H can do because he cannot book a great enough show to actually have great stories, engaging heels and engaging faces to build great shows and great moments. There always has to be a cameo. You're always always looking at the ramp. You're always looking to see who's coming out because Triple H is not booking a good enough show. And that's the simple facts. And so with that being said, SummerSlam overall, nights 1 and nights 2 combined, this show as a whole is going to get a 3 out of 10 from me at best, okay? And that's being very generous. And on top of that, night 2 gets a solid 2 or 3 out of 10 for itself. And then obviously yesterday was a 3 out of 10 as well, I'm pretty sure. So overall, 3 out of 10 show. This was complete and utter garbage, and it is what it is. Let me know what you thought about SummerSlam 2025 in the comment sections below. And as always, I thank you guys so much for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Peace out and one love.